In today's news of It Could Only Happen to Me, I went out to the cemetery today. Um, it was 4 months on the 25th since I lost my sweet husband. And I got up and thought, I'm going to get me a cup of coffee from Starbucks and a Danish. I'm going to go out there and just kind of sit out there and visit with him for a while. And I knew it was getting late in the day, but I wasn't worried. Okay, I wasn't worried because the gate, even though if it's closed, it has a sensor on it that if you drive up to it, it'll automatically open. So went out there and picked up the flowers and straightened up his grave and the decorations a little bit and finished my coffee, my Danish, and it's probably about 5 o'clock that I went out there. So it's beginning to get a little dark. And I knew it was pressing my time, but I never worried about it because I've always been able to get out of there before. So I told him about Christmas and all of that, and got in the car, drove by my parents' graves, made sure it was all tidy and everything. And I looked at my clock, and it was 6:30, and it was dark. It was already dark, and I could hear him in my mind telling me, you need to get out of here. It's late. You don't need to be out here by yourself. You need to get out of here. So I'm like, okay. I'm going. So I thought. So drove up to the door, the gates, and they didn't open. They were shut. And I thought, okay, let me back up and take another run at it. So I did. Backed up. Went up to the gate again. It didn't move. Went up closer. Didn't move. Bumped the gate. It still didn't move. Y'all, I was locked in the cemetery. Now, this didn't bother me. As an aficionado of horror movies, being locked in a real cemetery, it didn't bother me. Other than the fact that, okay, what if I have to go to the bathroom or I get hungry or something? I didn't panic. Thought, well, okay, worst case scenario, I'll just drive on back over there to Harry's plot and stretch out in the seat and I'll go to sleep if I can't get a hold of anybody. Yes, I would do that. But I didn't. So I got out of the car and I checked the gate. Wouldn't budge. I was rattling it. Okay, I was beginning to get a little concerned. Checked all the UV things that usually you hit whenever you're driving up to it, it automatically opens. So I said, okay, so I'm resigned. I'm going to have to call 911 or try to get a hold of somebody at the cemetery. And luckily, I had the lady's phone number in my phone from where I had gone out to discuss when we were burying Harry. So I called her. She started laughing. And she said, well, let me give you the code to the gate. And she said, oh, wait, you're on the inside of the cemetery. And I said, yes, I'm locked on the inside of the cemetery. It is dark. And she says, well, I could give you the code, but that's on the outside. And I said, well, I could climb over the fence. And she goes, no, we don't want you to do that because we don't want anybody to get hurt. I'm like, okay. Plus, can y'all just see my butt crawling over the fence? Anywho, so she said, okay, I just live 5 minutes away. I have no problem coming out there and I've got the remote and I can let you out. And I'm like, okay. So, I just kind of put myself in park and I called my little brother and sister-in-law and let them know what was going on. And they started laughing. I was texting my niece. She kind of started laughing. And I was sitting there waiting on her to show up, right? And I kept having this conversation in my head. And I could hear Harry Dean fussing at me about being in that position out in a cemetery by myself in the dark. And after he'd fussed at me for putting myself in that position, he would have laughed his butt off at me, okay? So I could hear him just laughing and telling me, you should have been out of here an hour ago. This is what happens, On the other side of me, I could hear my guardian angel talking to him. I could just see them in heaven with my guardian angel looking at Harry going, see? Do you see what I'm talking about? You only had her for 40 years. I've had her for 64. This is what I have to put up with. And Harry calling him a pussy. Oh, yeah. Oh, good times. So there I sat, locked in the cemetery. So here comes Christy. And she drives up and she gets out of her car and she walks up to the front of the gate and she clicks the remote to open up the gate, and it doesn't work. And I can see her clicking it. It's still not working. So then I see her go over to the keypad on the outside. Puts in her code. Boop, 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 boop. Didn't work. She does it again. It didn't work. Now I'm beginning to panic. I was like, well, I guess I am going to go back over there and sleep. Whew. I get out. I'm on the other side of the gate, the cemetery, like a prisoner. What are we going to do? She's pulling on it. I'm pushing on it. Beginning a little panic now. And she said, well, let me take a look down here. She says, I can't imagine what's happened to it. I said, well, maybe because of the thunderstorm, the solar didn't charge the beam or something. And she goes, no, we've had this up for 3 years now. We've never had this problem ever, no matter how bad the weather had gotten. And I'm like, it figures. It figures. So I said, okay, what do we do? She says, well, let me try to pop the pin out of it. So she went down to the foot where the of the gate where the hydraulic thing is on there, and she went under there, and luckily all she had to do is just kind of pull a pin out and kind of lift it a little bit, and it came off the hinge. So she was able to push that back, and then she was able to open the gate. So I drove on through. We didn't get both sides open, just the one side. So I drove on through, and then I turned around to shine my light on the gate because I wasn't going to leave until she left. I didn't want to leave her out there by herself. So we had a good laugh about it, and she goes, well, I've never had this happen before. And I'm like, you're welcome. This is my life. And so I said, well, are you gonna leave it? Are you gonna close it? I'll help you lock it up. She goes, no, because we've never had it do this before, so I'm gonna have to call the gate company to come out and take a look at it. And she says, so I'll just leave it open, so in case somebody wants to come in the morning or whatever. She says, but I'll be in first thing in the morning. And I said, okay, so you're gonna call the gate company? And she says, yeah, I'm gonna have to call them and find out what's going on because this has never happened. So y'all, I was locked in the cemetery, and the gate chart it closed like it always does automatically. And it chose that particular time to break. I broke the gate at the cemetery. And I was locked in there for a short time. And I'm sure that my husband was having a good laugh about that. I know I was. So I said, well, enough of this being outside. I'm going home. And I don't want anybody to fuss about me sitting around in my nightgown anymore, because I got out today and look what happened. There you go. You're welcome. Have a good one. Love ya.